Hello lovelies, you're welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's tutorial, we're going to be looking at how to make this trending Zara cap with Aso-oke fabric, and also we'll be adding a rose design to it. This design was requested for by one of our subscribers, and I'm so happy we're finally having it today. Please, if you are new to this channel and you haven't subscribed, kindly do well. Please kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel. You won't regret it because we have lots of amazing tutorials already on the channel, and so much more are coming in. And to all our old subscribers, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for the likes, thank you so much for watching, thank you so much for sharing and the comment. I see you all, and I'm already getting familiar with some of us. I love you all. Now, moving on to the materials required for today's tutorial, we'll be needing Aso-oke fabric, of which I decided to make use of two different kinds of Aso-oke fabric. Also be needing Mako. Mako can be gotten from those who sell shoemaking materials. We'll also be needing scissors, measuring tape, matching color of thread and needle. Now we're working on the Zara cap design, which has a band that will be padded using Mako, and it also has the base. And then we'll have this design, this rose-like design attached at the back. Now for my Zara cap, I'm creating my design, both the cap and the design, using Aso-oke fabric. Now I'm going to be using a combination of two different kinds of Aso-oke fabric. What I have here is the vintage Aso-oke fabric, and this is the plain Aso-oke fabric. So I'm going to combine both of them to create the cap and the design. I initially wanted to use the plain fabric to get, that is this plain fabric to make the Zara cap, and the vintage Aso-oke to make the rose design, or use this to make the cap while I use this to make the design. But I found out that my fabric was not enough, so I'm going to be combining both of them together. Now, I've cut out the measurement for my fabric, so I'll go ahead to state it. For my Zara cap, I have 3 pieces of fabric. I'll be needing 3 pieces of fabric, which is what I have here. Now, the measurement for each piece of fabric in terms of the length is 26 inches. So the length of my fabric is 26 inches, cut out 3 times, 3 different pieces of fabric. While the width varies depending on your fabric, but it's always anywhere between 6 and 7 inches. In addition to this, we'll also be needing the Mako for the band. I have my Mako here. Now the width is about 2.7 inches. Yes, 2.7 inches for the width, and the length is 18 inches, 2.7 by 18 inches, of which you can use 2.5 inches or 3 inches depending on how wide you want the band to be. And then for the design, I have my fabric cut out already. The length is 60 inches. I'll be using 60 inches, of which you can decide to use something bigger depending on how big you want your rose design to be. So 60 inches for the length. Now coming to the tutorial, I have this 2 pieces of Aso-oke fabric. So I'm going to go ahead to join it together. I'll place one on each other, that is towards the edge. The normal way we join our Aso-oke fabric, and then join it together. I'm also going to get the 3rd piece of fabric and then place it at this edge also, and then join together by sewing from one end of the fabric to the other. Thereafter, I'm going to go back and then fold in this edge. After joining the 3 pieces together, I will fold in this edge and sew it in, because the edge is free and I want to prevent that. Same thing is applicable to this other side. So I will do all this and then get back. So this is my fabric. I've been able to join all 3 together. I've also gone ahead to fold in the edges and I've sewn it down. Now I have my Mako here, so I'm going to fold it into 2 equal halves to enable me locate the middle, and I'm going to use my chalk to mark it down. So So I have the middle of the marco right here. I'm going to get my fabric, and if you look carefully, you observe that I've also marked down the middle of my fabric. I'm going to place it and then fold it down this way. So ensure that the middle of your fabric aligns with the middle of your marco. And I'll place this on my sewing machine and sew it down from one end to the other end. This part that the marco ends, I'm going to come down and sew this part. I'm also going to come down and then sew this other edge where the marco ends. This is my work. I've finished sewing it from one end to the other end. I just use my pins to hold this edge and hold down this edge. I'm here to sew it. Now, if you observe, you find out that this edge, this sewn edge is showing and we would not want it. So to take it in, I'm going to push in my fabric a bit. Now, this is the trick. While I was sewing this part of the fabric, I did not sew it very close to the edge of the marco. I gave a bit of allowance at the edge so that it will enable me push in my fabric a bit. So I'll just push in my fabric like this until that part goes inside a bit. So that's what I will do now. I'll keep doing. So this is it. I've pushed it up. If you can see, this part here has changed. I'm going to now, this is how it is. This sewn part is now at the middle here. So I'm just going to place it down like this. Stitch this edge down. Come back to this side. Place this part like this. Stitch this part down. This is it. And this is it. So this is how it looks like. This is it. And on this other side, it is like this. I just hope you get this part very well. Now what I'll be doing is I'll fold it into 2 equal halves and then place it on my sewing machine. I'll start sewing from the band. I will sew from the band down to this edge, and from this edge I'll take it down to this edge. At this point, I'm done stitching it down, and this is how it looks like. So I've sewn from this edge down to this edge, down to this edge. My cap is almost set. So what I'll be doing next is I'll be making the running stitch to form the gathers at the back. And for that, we need a matching color of thread. Please ensure it has been doubled and knotted at the edge. So I'll start making my running stitch from this point after the band down to this point and down to this very end. So after making my running stitch, this is it, and then I'll go ahead to turn this inside out to the other side. And then I have my Zara cap this way. So this is how to make a plain Zara cap using your Aso-oke fabric. And then you can go ahead to create any other design with your fabric and attach to it at the back. Remember, I'm going to set this aside while we proceed to work on the design that will be attached to it at the back. For my design, I have my fabric cut out already, 16 inches for the length, of which you can use any length of your choice. I've gone ahead to fold in the edges and to sew it down because the edges of Aso-oke fabric free. Now we're going to be creating our rose design from a fan design. So please, you just have to watch carefully to see what I'll be doing. Now, starting from the edge, you start making pleats in a slanted pattern. Please watch carefully so that you can get, because I don't know how else to explain this. Make pleats in a slanted pattern, just as you see me doing. So as you make your pleats, you get your pin to help you pin it down to hold it in place at the edge. If not, if you continue working like that, in the process of working, while working, your work is going to get scattered and you have to start afresh again, and we don't want that. So you make your pleats, you use your pin to hold it down in place. you make your pleats, you pin it down, you make your pleat, you pin it down. Now please watch the edge. It has to be in a slanted pattern. That edge has to be slanted. That will now enable you to know that yes, you're on the right track and you are getting it. So this is how to go about making the fan design, the pleated fan design, and it's from this process that we are going to get our rose design. Now I also have another video on my YouTube channel on how to achieve this same rose design, but I used a slightly different method on how to do that. It's an orange, I use an orange Aso-oke for that particular tutorial, so you can go through my YouTube videos to check out for that tutorial. Then whichever one suits you, you can use the method to achieve your own rose design to attach to your Zara cap. Meanwhile, I'll be dropping the link of that particular video in the description box below, so kindly check the description box for the link to that particular rose design where I use orange Aso-oke for. It's similar to this, but the method is a bit different. Now back to our tutorial. You keep pleating your fabric the way you see me do, in a slanted pattern. That edge has to be slanted the way it is in the video for you to know that whatever you are doing is correct. So make your pleats, you pin it down in that order. So that is how we are going to pleat this entire 60 inches fabric. Yes, from the beginning of the fabric to the end of the fabric, because we are using this entire fabric to make the design. So I'm going to go back off camera to complete this. I'll complete the pleating and the tack and the pinning down, after which I'll get back for us to continue. As soon as that is all done, I have my fabric here. This is how it is. You can see the way it is curved, like in a semicircle pattern. That is how to know that yes, you have gotten it. Now the next one we're going to be doing is that we have to tack down the edges that we have pinned. You can tack down, you can glue down. I will be illustrating how to tack down using your needle and thread. So just arrange your fabric in place, starting from the first part where you pinned down. You start passing your needle and thread. Ensure it has been knotted at the edge. Pass it through a couple of times until you are sure that it is firm and it is secured. Then you can go ahead to cut it off with your scissors. Then tie and trim off the excess thread that will be left. That is how you will tack each pin or each particular position that you pinned down with your needle and thread. This is kind of stressful. Now another option is to place on your sewing machine and make use of your sewing machine to sew each pin part down. So you arrange it, place it on your fabric, place your fabric on your sewing machine, remove the pin, sew down that part. After that, you take it off, then you go back, pin the next line, sew it, remove the pin, sew it, and then take it off in that order. So that is where I use my sewing machine to sew. You can see the way it is, one after the other. It is less stressful, so whichever you prefer, either the thread and needle method or your sewing machine method, but you have to stitch one after the other. That is just where the work is. Now having done that, we'll now start forming our design, because our fabric is now set in place. Now to get the design, you can either use your glue gun to create this design, that is your glue gun and your candle gum, or you make use of your needle and thread. So we'll start by rolling in the edge of the fabric gradually, as you see me do. So as you roll down, you glue or you tack with your needle and thread. I'm tacking with my needle and thread. So see the way I'm rolling it gradually. So please watch carefully so that you can get it. As you roll your fabric inwards, you tack it down to secure it. You roll it inwards, you tack it down, or you glue it down, whichever one you prefer. So that is how to go about creating the rose design. Now on getting to the edge, you arrange your fabric in, place the excess fabric that is under the first pleat from the side you started from. This is how it will look like. Then you now make use of your needle and thread to tack it round in order to secure it in place. So I'm going to go off camera to complete it, and after completing it, this is how it looks like. You can see how firm and how beautiful it turns out to be. So we can now go ahead to attach it to a cap or a lace band. So right here I have my design already made, and I have my Zara cap here. So the next thing we'll be working on, or we'll be doing, is to attach both designs together in order to have our work completed. Now to do that, you can decide to use your needle and thread to tack down together, or better still, make use of your candle gum and glue gun to glue it together. And we are placing this at the back. So this is my design. You decide where and how you want to position it. Is it this way? Is it this way? However you want to do that, go ahead to place it. Now it has to cover this part. When you are tacking or gluing, ensure it covers this part, okay, so that it can be balanced. Now this is it, and then I have my needle and thread here. I'll be tacking, and I'll start tacking, start passing it from inside the cap, and then I'll be bringing it forward till I've completely secured it. Like I said earlier, you can skip tacking and make use of your candle gum and glue gun. Please ensure you apply enough gum, and after applying your gum, apply enough pressure so as to enable it glue down to the cap completely or properly. So I'm going to tack this down gradually from one end of my fabric to the other end. I'm going to go off camera to complete this, and as soon as I'm done, I'm going to come back to show us the final outlook. So at the end of the day, this is it. My design has been tacked down to my cap, so it won't fall off. I made use of my needle and thread all through. And now if you want something fuller, something bigger, you go ahead to increase the length of the fabric for your design. But then this is mine. You can go ahead to embellish and add other accessories if you so desire. But I'm very much okay with how this turned out to be. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have learned something from today's tutorial. This brings us to the end. Please kindly do well to follow us on our social media platforms, so on Facebook and on Instagram as Jenny Concept. Also do well to subscribe if you haven't done so. Don't forget to like, share, and also leave a comment in the comment section.